certifying badasses, one podcast at a time. Just as apples are a core ingredient to a healthy diet, Kelly Orchard's Apple a Day is a core ingredient to living a fruitfully badass life. Fruitful Fridays with Kelly Orchard's Apple a Day and Weekend Vibes. Let's take a bite of some Apple a Day topics. How do you like them apples?
Well, thanks, Bobby. I love them apples, actually. It's funny. It's like I checked the stats on my podcast for the Apple a Day, and I don't know, overnight somebody listened to like a couple hundred of them. Those were awesome. You guys know that I have Kelly Orchard's Apple a Day on on the same podcast platform, but it's 60 seconds on wisdom, success, and personal growth. So how do you like them apples? I love them, and I love it when you digest them or consume them or whatever it is that you're doing with them. I have been waiting for Friday all week, and it is Fruitful Friday. I'm Kelly Orchard, the badass certifier. It's been a really busy week and somewhat hectic for me, doing like a lot of mental gymnastics. I had to navigate my regular psychotherapy clients, obviously, and, work on my podcast, which, that's not a random thing. I don't just turn on the microphone and just start talking. I did that when I would do live Facebook videos, but I would always have some sort of note, but there wasn't like this big, huge, like, let's come up with a topic and a script and some articles to go along with it. So, that's some mental gymnastics for me on aside from, seeing regular psychotherapy clients, and then I also had an interview with a potential caregiver for my mom and dad's care, and then I had, make calls for doctor's appointments and stuff like that. I had my grief class, and then I did some badassery with the Temecula Rotary this week. This all happened this week. I know it's a lot to do in literally 3 days because Monday was a holiday. And today is Friday, and I'm actually recording this and I'm going to publish it immediately because I probably would have had plenty of time yesterday to do it if I would have, just not gone to lunch, I suppose. But, when my badass branding strategist said, let's go have some lunch, I wasn't going to turn that one down because it's always nice to just, kind of meld our minds together. And it's been a really nice journey working with Jennifer. So I didn't do the podcast yesterday, so you can blame her. I'm not looking to blame anybody. I have found that I actually enjoy doing these more on a moment by moment basis rather than trying to do them in advance. Why? Because I'm out there, I'm talking to you, and I'm out there with like Wednesday I was at the Temecula Rotary. Sorry, I almost said Murrieta. That's my Rotary Club, but it was such a pleasure and so much fun that I just want to keep doing, this successful badassery programs. And so, I've got a workshop that's going to be coming up on October 15th here at Michelle's place. It's kind of like a little fundraiser in a way. I mean, I'm donating 20% to Michelle's place, but it's going to be a lot of fun as I teach badasses how to create their own badass soundtrack, which is a proven technique to help you shift your attitude in a moment's notice when you need it within 3 minutes in the length of a song. And how do you do that? Well, you got to come to the class to figure that one out because I teach you. I do. I actually probably tell you a lot of this on this podcast as well. So if you're listening to the podcast for Successful Badassery and you scroll back to, when it started in January and you listen to the Emin sequence, you'll see, wow, she's really onto a theme here and she's giving us all the tools that we need to live a successfully badass life. And what does that mean? It means, I have the acronym, be yourself. You have attitude is everything. You got to make a decision and stay disciplined and, to decide. You got to have some awareness of what's going on around you. You've got to stay the course and then you'll be successful. And there's a lot of being flexible and nimble and having plan Bs and plan Cs when plan A doesn't work out for you. That's what's happened to me. Balance is so necessary for successful badassery, whether it's your business, your relationships, your life. I say that there is no such thing as work-life balance. This is your life, the whole thing. So just balance it all together, and that was the Mustang Monday with Julie No. That's what she talked about. She says, people think I'm busy and they think and I am a workaholic. But the thing is that she admitted, I'm really not that busy. I only do the things that I love to do. So it doesn't ever feel like work. And it was a way that I totally connected with her because that's exactly how I feel about it. Kind of validated me as well. So thanks, Julie. So here's what we got. September is focused on the A in badass, in the acronym. So attitude is everything. So, if you're working too much, you start to become a little bit resentful. If you have too much laziness or you're too much downtime because you think that that's how you take self-care, it kind of makes you bored, and then you start doing knucklehead things, like, I don't know, drinking too much or start smoking, or you eat so much and you're binge watching programs and now, oh my gosh, I've put on some weight, or your relationships are struggling because you're not making an effort to be aware of what's going on with these other people around you. And then you start having a bad attitude. Things like that can happen. Both can lead to anxiety and depression, whether you're working too much or you're not working enough. And then that creates stress-related illnesses. So it also develops poor relationships, difficulty at work. So how can we flip that? One step at a time. That's what I always talk about with people, is that you don't do a drastic makeover and think it's going to be long lasting. It's just like basically, putting sprinkles on ice cream. Well, okay, no, it's not really like that. Okay, that was a dumb analogy. Honestly, that really was. But you get the message, okay? You get the point. So, I recently met a woman who just returned from climbing Mount Whitney. Now, Mount Whitney is the highest mountain in the contiguous United States and the Sierra Nevada, with an elevation of 14,505 feet. Okay, I got that. I literally had to look it up. I mean, I'm familiar with Mount Whitney. I'm a California native, but I have not climbed it. And I'm not a hiker, but I do love nature. So the thing is that what struck me with this woman was her dedication to it. She had to train. It was totally something new for her. It was a goal that she wanted to kill and conquer, and she did. And it just inspired me. Like, I've had recent hikes in Sedona, and I've always been kind of a nature lover. I love the forest. I love to walk through the mountains. I love snow skiing, and I love the beach. I love the outdoors. I'm more of a water sports lover, like water skiing, surfing, wakeboarding, in the pool, rather than the desert, the dirt bike ride, because I don't know, it's dirty, so, but that I've always been an outdoors person. But this whole thing, and I've recently, rediscovered hiking in Sedona. It sparked a new interest in me. And so her story inspired me because, hey, the COVID-19 has reared its ugly head, and I'm seeking new fitness routine. And aside from my early morning walks, I kind of had abandoned them for this sedentary lifestyle while I'm watching my parents, and I'm also realizing, I have just had a lot of stuff going on, and that's when part of the balance that I have let get unbalanced. And, I'm just kind of owning it and just being reintroduced in some form of new thing. I've been working on trying to go take ballroom dancing with a friend of mine, and everything's been closed. So we're still trying to create some way to be dancing. And, with Julie, I talked about line dancing. So it's like, heck, I don't care. If line dancing, ballroom, cha-cha, whatever. That's what I'm looking to do. And then probably take up a little bit of hiking as well. And it takes dedication, but because I decided, can I today climb Mount Whitney? Oh my goodness. First of all, wouldn't that be an insult to this woman that I just met? If I'm just going to go climb Mount Whitney. Now, that must be easy. Heck no. But if I wanted to accomplish some sort of a big achievement like that, I would have to take one step at a time. Literally set a goal, that big goal that's achievable, put a date on it, and then start working, then back up and start making some small achievable goals. And that's part of the attitude. You have to have a positive attitude in order to achieve these goals, because in order to make them realistic, you have to focus on them. So maybe this is a new challenge for me. Guess what? If ballroom dance classes aren't coming back to Temecula anytime soon, I may just start hiking the local trails right here in my own region, because there's plenty of trails to discover. Nothing new for some people who have lived here for a long time, but I'm seeking something fresh and new. And that's how you flip the format on what's negative in your life. Is just one thing. It doesn't have to be everything. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Choose one thing. Right now, I'm choosing physical activity for myself because, I do the mental health stuff and I have the work-life balance and, I'm not overworked and I do have a social life. And so as I was working on my own presentations, as I'm focusing on what's coming up for the next badass certification class, what's going well in my life, well, then that's when I notice what's not going well. And so it's time for me to flip that. And so that's all this is about. For some weekend vibes, what do you do? What are you going to do? So for me, it's like, here's the thing. It's like, this might become my new weekend vibe for successful badassery. I have no idea. This is my birthday month. It's September and my birthday is at the end of the month. And yes, I do have another trip to Sedona already booked, planned, and halfway paid for. I'm going with some friends and this time we've rented an Airbnb and we're going to stay there for 4 nights. This will be a completely different experience for me. It'll be the 4th time for me going because I've recently, I discovered last year that it was a nice retreat away from my daily life. And because I'm a Southern California native, the beach or the mountains are so easy for me to get to. And I don't take it for granted, but it's easy to take it for granted. But Sedona came calling. So once I learned about Sedona and I experienced it and I immersed myself in it, I love it. I love it there. I don't need to move there. I just want to keep going there. So this is my 4th trip and I'm going with my friends who have not been there. I don't plan to be the tour guide. I just plan to be the happy observer and still do my own thing. It'll be cool. I do tend to hike, and I'll tell you all about it. But it's my birthday month, so I love September. Not that I'm doing anything special today. Today is not my birthday, but anyway. So okay, so let's talk about some fruitfulness for you. We're talking a lot more about what's going on in the business environment, and it seems like every single day we are hit with some new crisis, issue, legal battle, struggle. Employees don't show up, or who knows what your individual business's concerns are. I mean, you know what they are. I do not. I hear different pieces of the puzzle and different pieces of the pie very, very often. My clients I work with are oftentimes the employee of who don't understand why their boss is so cranky, or complains that their boss is cranky, or however it goes, or sometimes feeling the tension in their own work environment and not even knowing if they can say anything about it. Here's the thing. So it's like, I talked a little bit about, the work-life balance and I have an article that I found in Smart Brief. But like I said, I'll put the link in the show notes. So if you want the actual article, but I'm just paraphrasing, reading some specific paragraphs out of it that I got out of it. And this is something about, how instead of multitasking, go all in on your tasks. We focus on removing distractions and blocking out time we need to do stuff like that. They call that single tasking and avoid multitasking like the plague. That's some of the things that we need to do. Multitasking refers to what we try to achieve multiple things simultaneously, such as returning calls or listening to messages while reviewing and editing reports. It's become widely popular as we perceive that doing more things at one time is better than doing fewer things. The joke is that true multitasking or parallel processing doesn't exist. Our brains cannot do it. They simply aren't designed for it. Instead, they switch back and forth from task to task, one at a time, which causes mental overload and reduces efficiency. Multitaskers are too easily distracted. Their thoughts are shallower, and the divergence of mental focus often leads to poorer job performance, in part because they have difficulty in filtering out what's not relevant. Multitasking usually resorts in busy work, which is when you work on things without actually progressing. So when you multitask, you're actually being less productive. So like I said, I'm going to give you this article because I want you to have it. You don't need to take notes. I'm just going to put the link in the show notes. But here's some useful tactics on how you can, do single tasking. So make a to-do list and block out time. I practice this. And I tell my clients to do this all the time. Make a game of it. But basically, it's like List the priorities and the activities of your day. Doing so will help you focus on the most important tasks to the exclusion of all else. I have a running to-do list that I keep in the notes in my phone, or the reminders in my phone. I just make them all reminders, and it's my to-do list. So when I do it, I can mark it done, and that feels like an achievement. But if I don't do it, it just automatically goes to the next day. I don't have to rewrite the list, which would be busy work for me, crossing things off and rewriting the list. This technical has helped me tremendously. And then break down large projects or tasks into chunks, something we all really need to do. When we focus well on the small, clearly defined tasks and can make more purposeful action around them. And then work in time blocks. This is one of my favorites. I like to do like 30-minute intervals or even like an hour and test myself and see how much I can get accomplished on this one task before without even looking at anything else. No email, no social media, no checking, text or whatever, or even answering a phone call if it rings. I block out that specific time to work on these things. Even if you do it in 25-minute with 5-minute intervals, for breaks, or you focus on short, manageable bursts while giving our brains the sense that they don't have to hold out against distraction indefinitely. It helps to relax your brain and clear your mind during those breaks to rejuvenate the brain and set you up for the next session for mental activity. Please remember, your brain is like a muscle. It gets tired. You can't just keep using it and not have it completely get exhausted. All right. So these are some of the things, it's like you can write down your tasks, don't set unrealistic personal deadlines, follow your energy, enjoy the sensation of actually being mindful about the work that you do. Also, I wanted to share with you a little bit about questions emotionally intelligent leaders ask themselves. And do I empower my team enough? I'm going to put this link in the show notes too, but I wanted you to take this into the weekend, because as we wind down for weekends and we often think about how our business has been going, we have to ask ourselves some questions like, do I empower my team enough? Leaders constantly walk a fine line between giving their team enough freedom and taking charge when necessary to prevent things from going off the rails. Recognizing the importance of allowing people to create, take calculated risks, and learn and grow from mistakes, they allow their team maximum freedom. The leaders are constantly asking themselves where they are in terms of giving their people freedom versus stepping in when they see things going in the wrong direction. Another question that emotionally intelligent leaders ask is, am I listening and understanding well enough? And did I recognize people when they went above and beyond? Leaders with high emotional intelligence are great communicators, as well as being able to get their messages and ideas across. They recognize the importance of being effective listeners. They excel not only at giving clear messages, but also at being aware of what is going on with their people. One thing leaders also do is constantly look for opportunities to show appreciation to their team members who do something well. They're aware that blanket appreciation is the lazy way out for leadership and can actually be a demotivator for those who are going above and beyond. Because of this awareness, they can spend time and effort to get to know the roles of their staff in order to spot those who are excelling. Some of the other questions are, am I supporting my people in achieving their goals? And am I making my vision for the organization clear and consistent? So these are just 5 of the questions that emotionally intelligent leaders ask themselves every single day. When they're at the helm, people are more motivated and they have happier workforces. And they do it by asking themselves these questions. And I'm putting that link for the article. I found it in fastcompany.com. And I'll put the link to the article in the show notes and you can go and grab it so you can check it out for yourself. I don't want anyone ever to think I'm plagiarizing. I did kind of just like paraphrase and read from the document. Why would I rewrite it? It's perfectly fine. And this is what I love about the podcast is I can provide you with all of the resources as well. That's what I've kind of eliminated, like doing the live videos, but I know I need to do a little bit more of those again. But I'm just so busy, and if I don't sit to do that, then, I'm doing other things. All right, let's talk about some apples and some weekend vibes for you. I am looking forward to this weekend. I'm going to some function tonight with my friend, and I don't really remember what it is offhand, but it's at that same venue in Murrieta that we had the Chamber of Commerce Awards out in a couple weeks ago. So I'm going for the venue, I'm going for the music, and I'm going to hang out with my friend. That's what I'm doing on my Friday night. And it's a new plan because I just sent her a text about it yesterday. And normally she and I have to plan weeks in advance to strategize just to be able to hang out together. And she was up for it. And I said, you do realize this is tomorrow? And she goes, yep. So last night we were able to talk on the phone, and today we have a plan, which sometimes that's how it happens, isn't it? You don't need to have some big, huge strategy, and it doesn't always have to be a big, huge event to have some weekend vibes and some fruitfulness. So I've been talking a lot about no on the Kelly Orchard's Apple a Day. So if you want to catch up with that, you can. But, self-sabotage holds you back from success in your personal life and in business. Your career, your relationships, your health are all affected when you complain, panic, follow the crowd, don't communicate your needs or ideas, eat too much, smoke too much, and don't get enough exercise. Self-sabotage is that behavior or thoughts that hold you back from getting what you want. So get out of your own way and learn to say no to sabotaging behaviors that limit your ultimate success. Here's a couple of tips. Identify those habits and behaviors that hold you back and find someone to call you out on them. Allow yourself to understand the repercussions of your self-sabotaging behaviors and thoughts and keep track of them. Seek understanding of why you have developed these poor habits and then create new rules for yourself. Buddha said, you, yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. Move yourself into a season of positive growth by saying no to self-sabotage. And then also, business people, say no to bad meetings. Choose the meetings that will enhance your business and professional growth. Some meetings just aren't worth your time. Perhaps you can send a junior employee or other mentor of your staff or skip it altogether. I learned this early on in my career. In an effort to appear to be everywhere so that people would know me, I allowed myself to be part of more meetings than were really necessary. Prune back the amount of meetings you agree to attend. Now, not all meetings are bad. As Tiger Woods said, the amount of meetings I've been in, people would be shocked. But that's how you gain knowledge, being in meetings and participating. You learn and grow. So what is important to say no to bad meetings? Ones where they go round and round in circles and never accomplish anything, and you're left feeling like you just wasted hours of productive time. Know when to say yes and when to say enough is enough. I've got some weekend vibes for you. I had a great time the other day. I wanted to just talk about this again, presenting for the badass concept of creating your own badass soundtrack for an instant attitude adjustment. What a fun group at the Temecula Rotary. Very engaged. They made my job so much more enjoyable. And they even are going to put together their own Temecula Rotary badass soundtrack. Yes, I've got a whole new challenge to take to my Murrieta friends, a Rotary. So they were like throwing out songs like Bad to the Bone, Bad Company, Born to be Wild, AC/DC, You Shook Me All Night Long. There's a huge list that's been growing. I've been talking to Jennifer about it, and I'm looking forward to being able to feature it, I don't know, at a feature badass certification class if we can get some Rotary folk over there. So many times I have been asked if my program is accessible online, and I am pleased to say yes, it is. The License to be Badass program is designed to give you just the right attitude adjustment you need to grow and succeed, and the tools required for perpetual growth to maintain your license to be your badass self. So if you're ready to be licensed to be badass, I have pulled together different psychotherapy methods from cognitive behavioral therapy, solution-focused therapy, narrative therapy, and strategic methods to build you a toolbox to help you identify your strengths so that you can grow your confidence, identify your goals, and cultivate positive measures to get there. Weed out what's not working in your life so you can fertilize and grow what is working. You can prune back old behaviors and unrealistic expectations. That helps to make way for success. Then we plant seeds of personal and professional growth all over the place. You create an action plan for your success. You'll learn to focus on what's important right now so that you can live intentionally. You'll learn to your true purpose and passion. You'll gain some clarity, competence, and new skills and achieve your ultimate goals. Remember that BADASS is an acronym, and the License to be Badass program provides you with videos and worksheets to take you through each course. Now, I always encourage people start out with getting certified before you go on to the Licensed to Be Badass program, because part of it includes learning how to create your badass soundtrack. So that is the end for Fruitful Friday. I do have a badass certification class coming up. 2 of them actually scheduled, one for October and one for November. If you want to know more about them and you want to come, shoot me an email or give me a call or find me, track me down in the Mustang and tell me, I want to be a certified badass, and I will tell you how to secure your spot on the Bus to Badassville. Thanks for joining me on this Fruitful Friday. I want you to go out and be successfully badass. Turn up your favorite tunes and rock out. Fall is on its way, and a whole new attitude is about to come forth.
You've heard about the Bus to Badassville. What happens when you find yourself aboard? Just what you'd hoped for. You will be given proven skills and drills that you use to flip your fears with powerful thinking ideas and take charge of a thoroughly badass attitude. The Bus to Badassville is scheduled to come here for you. Pack your stuff. Remember, you have a free badass ebook coming when you drop in on licensedtobebadass.com.